Guys, that should be it. We're here
Yeah.
with the inaugural episode of Let's Talk, brought to you by the Esports Journal. I think we're going to be starting off relatively soon. I'm excited for this. It's the first thing we've tried it. We had a couple technical issues, but nonetheless, we are here. We're joined by two fantastic guests. Alongside me, we've got Quinn, my cast and Joe, mate. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Excited to be here. Obviously, getting this first episode of Let's Talk going.
I'm excited as well, mate. We're joined by two amazing guests. First up, Radiant Nova, CEO of Radiant Esports, the core of that organization, mate. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, pal. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. And alongside him, we've got Soda, competitive player for Nexus Youth, representing the youth scene in this sort of community talk show we're hosting right now. Soda, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad. That's good to hear, mate. As guys, the schedule for tonight, we'll just give you a good run through. We're going to go quite broad, and we're going to narrow it right on down. We're going to be starting off with everyone's sort of opinions on World War II as a Call of Duty right now. Second topic we're going to be moving on to is the youth scene for the moment, which could be, for all we know, contentious, depending on what people think. And narrowing it down after that, we'll be previewing the upcoming EEG Season 2 starting on Friday, followed by questions submitted by you guys. Submitted by myself, Nova, Soda, and Quinn. You guys send in all your questions. And guys, why don't we just get stuck in? Why don't we just get stuck into the first topic?
Man.
So,
Yeah.
World War II. 3 years of jetpacks. We come in. It's first year of boots. The game brought a lot of hype. A lot of hype. 3 years of jetpacks. For everyone's excited to just get back on the ground. And I want to start this off with you, Soda, because you've played this game probably not since release day
man.
as a competitive player. So I felt like this is probably the best place to start. But yourself, what was your thoughts of World War II when you first saw it? Hype, I presume?
Literally, there was no explaining how excited I was. Like, jetpacks for me, yeah. Black Ops 3, great
Mhm.
game. I didn't play AW. IW, really disappointing. I think the game it wasn't designed very well. There wasn't a lot of time, effort, care put into it, really, like Black Ops 3 was.
Mhm.
So it was a bit of a horrible year. Coming into World War II, everyone was expecting that classic, like, boots on the ground, that slow-paced, really methodical style of Call of Duty. But I think so far, the game, for me personally, it's been okay. It hasn't been terrible. Better than IW by a long stretch. It's much better than IW. And it's the first Boots game we've got in years. But I think they haven't added the right things at the start of the game. I mean, you look at just the camos and the reticles that they've just added. That's a good step, but that should have been there at the start. Paint jobs 4 months into the game, we don't
Still
even have
not here.
that. Advertisement for the CWL, little things like that. I've enjoyed playing competitive, but I can't sit there all day and play public match. I just get bored. There's a lot of like kill time. I think that's okay. I think the PPSH still sucks a little bit. It's not as good as it should be. It kills a little bit too slow for me. Maybe I'm just bad or whatever, but yeah, the map says what? There's what, a 9 map?
Yeah, about
That's
9,
cool.
10, and if you exclude war, about 9, 10, yeah, maybe less than
Yeah,
that.
like 9 original maps excluding DLC. Look at Black Ops 3. That game had like 14 maps.
Yeah,
Like, you could sit on pubs and play like a different map every time. I load into pubs and I get Gustav Cannon. I literally want to scrape my eyeballs out when I see that map. It's just not nice at all. So I think if they added more maps and made the game like more fun to play on release,
Yeah.
it would like progress throughout the year and be a really good game. But so far, it's been pretty mediocre.
I mean, that was something that I maybe, obviously I played just as a casual player for Infinite Warfare. Halfway through the game, I got bored of pubs. That had a lot more maps. And this game is something that, if you see guys on Twitter, they're saying that this game's dead. Fortnite is being played a lot more. People are going over to different, maybe esports as well, Rainbow Six Siege, etc. And I don't know what it is. I mean, we wait 3 years for a Boots game. Everyone has the hype around it, and then 4 months later, it's dead.
Yeah, and a lot doesn't help about the meta changing constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we started the year off with like the bar meta,
Mhm.
and that was kind of like the main 2AR, 2 subs on pretty much every single map, including maps like London Docks and Jib especially. But as the game's progressed, we've had like what, 3 or 4 different metas. The FG
Mhm.
meta was there for a while. I think for subs, that meta was not good at all. I think AR's just dominated. This meta now that we've got, it should stay. Like, they can't change this meta. It's a 1, maybe 2 AR map, like setup that depending on the map. But subs are able to now push out and take over a game, and I think it's 1 and more enjoyable to play, and 2 it's more enjoyable to watch because you get like in the Pro League, you get teams like Rise and LG when you've got players like John, Slack, really good sub players, and it's really enjoyable to watch and play with a sub.
Yeah.
But like at the start of the game with the especially the FG meta, you would literally walk around the corner with a sub, even sometimes up close, and just get absolutely mowed down by FGs. And it was unfair and extremely frustrating.
And this is kind of where Radiant, Nova, you come in.
Yeah,
You've kind of been for most of the year an outsider almost. Radiant obviously not competing in the youth scene. You've obviously just recently picked up an 18 plus team as well. So the return of Radiant to COD, which I'm excited for as well. But yourself as an outsider, how much of the game you play, maybe as a casual public player, I'm not sure.
Yeah, when it comes to COD, it's like if you actually compare it to what we've got now, and if you compare, like you said, Fortnite earlier, what is Fortnite doing that's better than COD? And one, it's a fun game to play.
Yeah.
Like if you go back to Call of Duties that we've had in the past, they've been addictive. You know what I mean? You've wanted to play them. You wanted to play them non-stop, and that's the first thing. It needs to have a good public ground presence. Secondly, it's content, so it's devs. You know what I mean? Fortnite has done it best. I think Fortnite has done it better than anyone. I understand they're a smaller company and they may be a bit more motivated in a sense to push out content, but there is no excuse because Fortnite dev team compared to Activision's is minuscule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So realistically, the fact that COD can't pump out content like it's done in the last week or so, it hasn't done that in the past couple of months. It mind blows me. Especially when it comes to CWL. I think that's the worst thing in the case scenario when it comes to COD. They've absolutely ruined it. That kind of pushes me into why I haven't entered it. One, you've seen, we can come on more to the youth scene a bit later, but the 18 plus scene, it's just not worth the investment because realistically there's not enough EU events, and as an EU organisation, it's good to expand into NA, but not to that point where most of your teams are based in NA. So you want to be an EU-based team. You've only got one LAN event a year, which is Birmingham coming up this month. And to be honest, it's embarrassing that as the EU scene has only got one event.
Yeah.
And what does what does CWL, and he said it, what does CWL stand for?
COD World League. The League of the World.
World. World as in we've got 90% of the teams in NA, like 9% in EU, and then 1% in like APAC. Like it's embarrassing. If we're calling it the COD World League, we need to be dedicating it to the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And realistically, that's first starts with NA and EU, and then it starts to expand out. But I think they just haven't got it right. We've got a good core game.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of things we can improve on, and it frustrates me the most that the devs are not communicating. If they were transparent with us, I think we'd be having a breeze of a time. But they're not. They keep quiet. They don't answer our comments. They don't interact with us, and then they just publish content that we didn't even expect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the worst issue. The devs, from my point of view, anyway.
Yeah.
From my I understand we're still in the amateur scene, but if I was higher up, as a professional organisation, COD does not inspire confidence to me. Like the viewership is I'm going to be brutally honest. As much as I like Call of Duty, and I think it should be one of the top esports, the viewership is dead. It's embarrassing. CWL has had the worst system this year,
Terrible, man.
and that has a knockdown effect on every other kind of community in a sense. You know what I mean? So
that's what you're aspiring to be.
It knocks down on the youth community. I'm just being honest, totally brutally honest.
It's true. You got a good point, man.
I think what didn't help was we overhyped it. You know what I mean? Boots on the ground, everyone was well excited. Of course they are. It was a good game in the beta, but lack of communication from the devs has really hit hard in this game. It is a shame to see. And as much as we say each and every year, if we don't have a good Call of Duty release next year, we won't see COD in esports again.
I mean, it feels like Sledgehammer may put more time into the game pre-release more than post, because you see there's a lot of good additions into World War II nonetheless. I mean, the HQ taking an idea from Destiny. I mean, that was good. The Crucible, that was a good idea. HQ,
that was good.
Customization, the 1v1 pit, charms, reticles. It's all been done post. Done pre. Since, like you said, release, there's been almost, I think, like you said, not much from the community. The community begs for the meta to stay as minimal as possible. Like you said, Solo, there's been subs touched. The MP40's been buffed, nerfed, Thompson up and down, Grease gone up and down. The bar and the FG have been nerfed more times than I can count. And that's having a knock-on effect.
People off, man. Like, I was running an AR on my new team. I'm running sub at the moment, but it's like one day, I'm not even joking. It was like this sort of January, end of December sort of time. I'd be using FG. A week later, I'd be using a bar. A week later, I was using FG again for about 2 weeks, and then I was using STG. That is not fun. Like it may not sound that bad, but it's not fun at all. And I mean, you were saying about how they did so much pre-release and then
Mhm.
post-release. Like a lot of people don't know, Fortnite was, the Save the World game mode in Fortnite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was literally Fortnite.
Post-release.
That was all it was.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they add something like Battle Royale. It is now the biggest game in the world
Yeah.
currently. Like it is even growing, and they've made twofolds on what they put into the game. And as well, Activision makes so much money from release every year. Like I think Call of Duty World War II was still the most downloaded game of the year so far.
I believe, yes, it broke Black Ops 3's record
Yeah.
for the highest selling game on one console.
Right, and you look at other esports, yeah, crowdfunding, that's never been done in COD. That could
Mhm.
help. And the developers, yeah, they've put like 2 million, I think, into all of the events, even though they made hundreds and hundreds of millions. Bro, put like 10 million into COD, and then even like all the payouts from tournaments and stuff, people will get involved. Like players will want to play, be able to play for like 3-4 million at one event. That will like track a crowd. Do you remember in like Black Ops 2 when esports kind of like took flight? It was because of that $1 million tournament, COD Champs in Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
So many people got involved, and even through league play, ranked play sucks on World War II.
Mhm.
Let's all agree on that.
Yeah.
And I think if they did, maybe took other ideas from other esports instead of trying to do the same old repetitive things, they'd see a lot more luck, and they continue to grow and kind of keep their position that they have in the gaming world at the moment.
And there was
No, I
something. Oh, go ahead.
No,
No?
go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
It was more a point that you mentioned that I was actually. Yeah, go ahead. I was going to go to Quinn afterwards, so go ahead. I was going to go to Quinn.
The thing is, when comparing COD to the esports, like I agree, there is some traits we should grab. You know what I mean? However, there is all going to be some things that we just don't agree on in this community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One, crowdfunding. I like the mention of it, but I just think we as the COD community will not be open to that just because of how we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
and
got
as much
point,
as it is,
actually.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. Thumbs up, it leads to huge prize pools, and I think Gears of War and Halo did it, and you can see like an increase of 100,000 or something. But when it comes to COD, I don't think we're going to be as open as when it comes to that. I think the first point we need to address is Activision. Like they are a multi-million, if not even billion,
Yeah.
industry where they are not supporting one of their main titles. I understand they're really swamped in Overwatch at the moment, but they have the staff to cater for COD. So why are they not doing that? It is easily one of their biggest titles they release each and every year. So that's one point. They literally release a game every year, selling at 40 quid. So they have enough money that side. And like Johnny mentioned in the chat, the fact that we're 4 months into the game and we're just getting like paint jobs, and we're just getting camos.
Yeah, we're
stuff
just
like
getting.
that.
No, yeah.
What I don't see, and maybe I'm seeing this from a different point of view, but what I don't see is why do we, back in Advanced Warfare, we had like the organization kit, like organization logos on camos, like and different outfits. Okay, I understand that some orgs may not be open to it, but I don't see why, because they're going to get a little cut from the money. They're going to allow Activision to use their logos. They're going to give them the rights. They're going to make money off it. Activision's going to make money off it. We're going to buy them. Am I seeing like the wrong point of view here? You know what I mean? Why are we not doing it?
Exactly.
That's one thing, because again, that will progress the pub scene into esports. That's what all games should be doing now. Fortnite did it. They're starting to showcase Twitch on when you actually go on the game.
Yeah.
So you may recognize Ninja. You may go on there. You may be interested. You may grab interest. Call of Duty has kind of touched upon that with the theater, but didn't really work. I don't think anyone's gonna go sit on the headquarters in the theater and watch like a Call of Duty game or something. It doesn't work like that.
No.
They need camos. They need what's the word I'm looking for? Advertisement. That's the biggest thing.
Big
Advertising.
one, yeah.
The fact that I find it actually embarrassing that the only EU event is not being advertised. I understand it's not being hosted by MLG. I get that, but you're putting £200,000 into it.
Yeah,
why are you not advertising it? You know what I mean? You're charging us 100 quid more for the ticket than it compared to NA events, and we're not getting this advertised. I don't get it. I can't see. Like I've tried so many different ways to looking about it, how the devs are going about this, but I do not get it. They have the manpower. They have more enough manpower to handle this. So why are they not prioritizing Call of Duty? I don't get it. I really don't get it. And I think if that isn't addressed in the next game, I know Treyarch's are better.
Yeah.
A better
We all
developer.
agree. Treyarch's one of the.
Yeah, like Treyarch's good. Unpopular opinion. Yeah, Treyarch's good, but we say that every year. You know what I mean? It's
Mm.
one this broken record repeat now. You know what I mean? When it comes to, I can't wait for Treyarch. I can't wait for Sledgehammer. I can't wait for Infinity War, whatever they're called.
Just the next one. It's like,
And
I
then
can't
it
wait for
was
next
just
year.
going on a loop. And when Black Ops 3 comes out, and we're like Black Ops 4, sorry, and we're like 5 months into that, we'll probably hate it, and then we'll doing the same thing. We'll be saying the same thing about the next game. So unless we're directly going to change this, Call of Duty is going to be wiped from the map, because you can already see from the viewership now. You know, Optic isn't even having an effect these days. It's still less than 100k. It's sad to see, but it needs to be saved somehow, and that's the devs. That it starts at the top and it works its way down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was one of the points you made as well, Nova, the fact that last year we had Birmingham, Sheffield, London, and ESWC, all within an hour's flight range of London, of any Ireland, England, Scotland, whatever, all within a reasonable ticket price, we'd probably say. Well, not madness in terms of what they're costing for Birmingham. This year, the fact that we're only down to one Birmingham event, and they've, I think, added Seattle as well to NA, so that makes that even more for them. So they've now got Seattle, Anaheim, NOLA, Dallas, Stage 1, Stage 2, and Champs with one EU event, and I believe 1 or 2 APAC in
I
Sydney.
don't think there even is an APAC
Yeah,
one.
see? 2 Sydney Opens to now just effectively none, and that was a point I wanted to raise with you, Quinn, because I know you're attending Birmingham as well. You as well, Nova, as well, so the fact that it's a major problem. You mentioned the branding for COD. They're not even advertising one event. How big of an effect that's going to have, Quinn? They're only having one event for EU. It gives EU teams... It's probably why you see a lot more hate for COD this year from EU, because we're only getting one event. EU teams have only got maybe CEFCO in France to go to a couple times a year, plus one major event. Is that enough, in your opinion?
No, it's definitely not enough. I mean, like, the only teams I can see really traveling to NA for events are really, like, just like
top.
Like, top AM teams, top semi-pro teams. That's really, like, the teams in the national circuits. That's the only teams I can see traveling there. Like, touching back on what Nova said about the Overwatch, look at what they've got. They've got the Overwatch World Cup. They've got the league, where it's just like they have in the league. They've got the teams based in like all over the world. What has COD got?
Exactly.
Like 80% of the teams in the Pro League are NA.
NA, yeah.
One thing I want to mention too is if there's any NA viewers in there, they're probably going to cry in the chat. But
they probably will.
From my point of view, it is. I understand this little series. What is it like? A rant series. You know, they've started on the COD World League where they're like
trading shots.
Yeah, trading shots, whatever.
That's
cool
funny.
idea,
That's
yeah,
funny.
and it's kind of funny, but
yeah,
when we've got Maven
So
like ranting when we literally have one of the casters saying NA is better than EU. I mean that's kind of pushing out the boundaries of being a joke compared to actually affecting the industry. You know what I mean? Because I find it anyway absolutely embarrassing that Red could absolutely smash all the NA teams and come second, and we've still got Maven saying stuff like that. Like, what am I kind of
Splice at the start of the year as well?
Splice, yeah. Well, like Splice have a bad event, cool, but then Maven starts, balling out saying, EU's dead and NA, EU will never catch up at NA. Well,
I saw that.
Mate, we've only got one event compared to your 4. We, that's more opportunities for you to earn pro points over there. You're more supported. You've got more backing. You get all your games casted. What do we get? You know what I mean? And the fact that all that happens and Red still absolutely smash NA teams. Yeah, they lose against Rise, but they beat the Precious Optic, and of course, Maven was happy about that. But they absolutely wipe the floor in losers bracket and go into the finals, and then we still get stuff like that. It blows my mind.
I mean,
it really does.
3 lands: NOLA, Dallas, and the last one that's Atlanta. Yeah, 6 teams in the grand final. TK was there twice. LG. Who were the other 2 teams that were in those finals? Red was one. Do anyone remember who the other one was? And EU's apparently dead. Who did TK face in the final of Dallas?
Splice, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
First event.
Yeah, it was.
Splice.
And apparently EU is dead.
Even though they've gone downhill a bit, but like,
true. We're
started
still
the year well.
Yeah.
And what do you call it? Like, who did Unilab beat Splice yesterday? Didn't they?
Yeah.
And it's like that gap
Yeah.
between EU's top 3 and 4, excluding Epsilon and maybe Vitality. They don't really do much in the Pro League. You've got like 3 half decent teams, and then you've got like Red and Splice. Apart from that, you've literally got no one. I think it was Verdict and Co. under Brash at Atlanta made like a pretty decent run, but it's like their seed was so heavily affected by the pro points that other North American teams were probably getting at other events, because it's literally like a 2-hour flight, maybe an hour flight, maybe they even lived there for some of them.
Yeah.
Whereas for like Verdict and that, they had to literally travel halfway across the world to play a couple events, and not all teams can do that. I mean, Nova, for yourself, yeah, you probably couldn't easily support a team to go all the way to America, travel, flights, team pass, in what else? Jerseys
Hotels.
a lot. It is so hard for like Europeans, especially. Whereas an American, you probably got to pay like a few flights maybe, and the same types of things, but it's so much cheaper. It's easier for people to get teams out there. So it just again kind of NA have a massive advantage, and I think to still see some European teams doing well should say to the CWL, like, look, you need more European events. You need to give more support to Europeans, and then you'll start seeing like 5, maybe 6 teams being able to contend for a title, maybe being a top 8, top 12, and then you can start seeing the bigger changes.
Yeah, I'm happy you mentioned prices, because to put it in perspective, from what I know from the teams I've talked to and dealt with, if we're talking full funding to an American event, like an EU team, we're talking at least like borderline £3,000 to £4,000. We're talking full funding to Birmingham, less than £1,000 easy. Like we're talking trains, you can get a car, anything like that. Far less, hotels far less, everything's much cheaper. I can guarantee you now, if we were to send like our best, top 8 AM teams, and they would go and compete in America, I could guarantee you not a single NA team would win that open bracket. Simple as that. Just because I don't want to like say the ballsy move of saying the EU AM teams are better than the AN A teams. Because at the end of the day, like COD isn't my main esport, COD isn't my main knowledge. But realistically, if we were to send our amateur teams over, they would wipe the floor with them. Simple as that. Bring over more EU events, and it will be far more equal. You know what I mean? You will literally see the impact. If we don't have pro teams in like the top, if we don't have half EU pro, if it's like half, it's not basically half EU, half NA in the pro league. When we've got more EU events, and I'll be very surprised. I can guarantee if we get more support, we will win more matches and we will beat more NA teams. It's just we need that support at the end of the day. You know what I mean? It's the people hosting the events that are not giving the EU side the support, but then we've got a caster slandering the EU. Like, okay, you know what I mean? I just need that explaining.
Yeah.
So going to like, I feel like the only real, like, true like European events, it's online. You can say it's a national circuit.
Yeah, that was a good idea, but it's just
because they're playing like in every stage that they got in the pro league. Like stage 1, they've got 2 stages of the national league, so in total there's 4 stages of it.
The thing is with the national league, clever idea. I
Clever
do
idea.
like it, and it could have worked, but it didn't, because I don't agree with that rule where you can have like at least 2 of the players need to be that national language. It doesn't work because we've got the UK National League dominated by UK players. We've got the German National League dominated by UK players. We've got the Italian National League dominated by UK players. UK, sorry. And I think Spanish maybe. The Spanish one may be dominated too, but I'm not too sure on that.
Strong following.
It's literally just 2 UK players entering with 2. I don't want to say random because they're not, the lowest spec.
People of not their same nationality, that don't maybe speak their same language as fluent as they do.
Yeah, just so they can fit in that national league. Simple as that. I like the idea with that though, because if you win the national league, you get funded to the next event, whatever. That's a good idea. But I think if they were to do that properly, they need at least 3 from that nationality, and especially UK, because if you actually look at the market, and if they did their research and if they did it properly, they would have saw that UK was much larger than Germany, Italian, stuff like that. So I think it would be a fair deal to put like 8 for National League in America. Oh no, like 16 in America, 16 in the UK, and then maybe 8 in other locations that may be smaller. And And if we're doing the World League, it needs to be worldwide. We're not just doing it EU, NA, APAC. Like, I think that's mind blowing if we're doing that. If we're calling it the World League, it needs to be around the world. Loads of this. I could go on for days, but it doesn't matter because we're not going to get listened to by the devs because they don't really care at the end of the day, you know. So it's just talking to a brick wall basically.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me on to one of my last points for the fact that COD is sort of maybe not a dying esport, or maybe not to the point of where it's going to be axed completely, but it's sort of
not growing. It's not
yeah,
growing.
it's not going
in the
up.
way
It's
that
sort
it
of
should be.
at the moment on a downward curve. One thing is sort of this probably affects you a lot, and maybe you, me, and you as well, Quinn. I already have the season pass, so this affects you whether you have to buy it or not. But Valkyrie, the debate over that map. So I saw your face. That map.
The
It's
agreement in the youth scene, it is not being played.
it's not being played.
No teams are scrumming it. I think very, very, very few teams are playing it in leagues. It's pretty much irrelevant to us. And
Yeah,
I don't think adding something into the pro league, and I think if they added it to 2Ks, I'm not too sure.
they might have.
Pro points.
I'm not too sure. What's happening.
I'm not too sure, but I think it affects 18 plus teams more than us because imagine an 18 plus team having to go into their own pocket just to play one map.
Yeah.
Oh mate, is this the map you had to pay for to play?
Yes.
Yeah,
This is the map.
And
Yeah.
they told us it was going to come free. They told us
Yeah.
it was going to come free, and it wasn't.
I literally forgot about it, but what the fuck is going on with that? Why are we having to pay to play a map they've chosen to put in?
Yeah, that's.
I don't need to explain anymore. Like, what are we doing? I understand the main argument was only like it was only £10 or something like that. But still, the fact that we're trying to be taken as a real esport here, and we've got 2 million for the World Championship.
You've got the devs to blame for that though. They
Like you
don't
said,
actually give us a good enough system. Like, let's be honest.
Boggled. Like, I understand it's a small amount of money, but we're the only esport that charges to play an esport. Like, come on, you know what I mean? You've already paid £40 for the game for a start. You should not be expected to pay 12 quid to buy a single map, because at the end of the day, you're only going to play that single map from the whole map pack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand what people are saying in the chat now that it's 12 quid. I get that, but we paid £40 for the game. CS is free, and it's like one of the biggest esports in the world. League of Legends is free. Dota is free. Top 3 esports in the world. Simple as. And we're being charged here to play a map. If we want to go further and if we want to get more pro points and we want to advance that, we need to buy a map for 12 quid. Like, come on, man. I understand it's cheap, but that is dreadful. That is really, really bad.
I mean, I can only speak from the perspective of a casual player that I bought the season pass just to play fun pubs every now and then. The map appears every now and then. It's fun to play, but I have to look at it from the perspective of Soda, of U3 as well, that it's a small amount of money, yes, but the fact that, like you said, Noble, we have to pay to further ourselves. What if a team doesn't veto it? What if it's... And I had someone tell me the other day, whether it's true or not, that it's being played in all 3 leagues. And I looked at that message and I was like...
nobody's playing it.
I'm pretty sure they all put up polls about whether it's being played or not, and I'm not too sure, but I believe one of them, ES Hub, said that it wasn't being played. I'm just off what I think I remember.
I think those polls were put up when we got told the map was going to be free, and everybody was like, yeah, we're up for this. Do you know what? Yeah, when the youth scene got told by the leagues that they were going to put it into the rotation, when we all thought it was going to be free, we were completely up for that. Like, I would have been fine playing a Valkyrie Hardpoint or a Valkyrie S&E because it's something fresh, something different. Yeah, it's just I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay for it, and nobody else has, so there's just no point at all. I mean, you look at devs again doing that, making that kind of move. Black Ops 3's devs completely understand esports. Their maps were built around esports, and it transitioned into public match and made that like a really good mix. Like, public match players enjoyed the maps because they were built in the right way, and it separated a good pubs player from a bad pubs player, and then those bad pubs players wanted to kind of improve as well. And I think Black Ops 3 had like 5 hardpoint maps. Our game has like 4, and even those 4, like one of them, Gibraltar, nobody wants to play. Sometimes we have to, maybe teams are good at it. You get Saint Marie, not great. London Docks is probably the best one we have because it's quite a hectic map where you get a lot of sub action, and then Ardennes is just a bit annoying sometimes because you walk around the corner and you've got like 3 hours just beaming at your head. Having that that difference in maps, and it all comes down to the devs. Like they just haven't given. Yeah, they're like, yeah, we'll support esports. You know, they haven't in the right way. I mean, you look at Overwatch. That game was built for esports.
Mm.
It was built not to fail. Why don't you spend 3 years, at least 2 of those years, making a good competitive game that is built not to fail? Like, so make it around esports. And I mean, you look at CS. When do you ever hear of like a massive casual scene? It is mainly competitive, and you've got what systems? I think it's. I don't really know much about CS, but
Mhm.
ESEA, I think.
Yeah.
Look at
Yes.
that. Look at that massive system. How many people get involved through that? Call of Duty doesn't have that. Like, it's so hard for people to get involved and kind of make their way up in the scene because there's not really like a set ladder, especially in the youth scene. You don't really know where you're at unless you're
Yeah.
playing like online leagues. And then to be like a lesser player who wants to, what all owner wants to pay £30, especially like for Vault, for example, £30 for a team that has zero experience and will maybe not guarantee you playoffs. Like, who wants to do that? And it makes it harder for people to then get involved. Whereas if you had more of a free or an extremely cheap system, possibly run by Activision, it would create a better system for new players, especially to get involved. And I think that's where the scene's lacking. Not new players can get involved, and then you look at the youth scene. Teams like Bulldog and Cryptic are running away with it because they've been around the longest. They're probably the smartest and the best players accumulated into two teams, and new teams, and basically everyone else is just a mile apart from them.
Yeah. So we'll touch on that. I'm interested to see about that sort of. I'm very interested to touch on that when we talk about the college youth scene. But one final question for all of you. In your respective books, Quinn, a caster for the youth scene, sort of competitive player, Nova, you basically run an org that once competed in the youth scene. Now you're back in sort of the whole COD, what would you call it? Sort of COD environment, sort of with an 18 plus team, etc. One question for all of you. I'm gonna answer this on my part as a casual player that I think it's starting to build to a good game from a from a casual player's perspective, that it started off pretty good, HQ, 1v1 pit, etc. Now it's starting to build up charms, camos, reticles, etc. We're getting what we want. But from each of you, one question. Is this game, after the game released November 4th, we're now sitting March 15th, is this game good, in your opinion, right now? Or can it improve? And how much can it improve? So I'll start with you.
All right, I'm pretty split. At times good, at times yes. I'm gonna say it's like a mediocre. Yeah, it's all right game. It's improved. I've been playing pubs the last few days to try and get all the cameras in that because
Yeah.
when you've got like challenges and rewards that you can get, like look at Fortnite again, you've got rewards and challenges
Something to
that you can
grind for.
get, something to grind for. It's really fun. Like nobody wants to have a little like prestige master thing next to their name anymore. It's just not fun. So yeah, it's all right. If it had more things to kind of work for and grind for, then yeah, I could see myself playing it a lot more.
Okay, Quinn, what do you think? Caster for the
Um,
youth scene? What are you thinking?
I really feel like, well, from Carter's perspective,
Hmm.
just like start of the game, I
We had
just
some
really
issues.
feel like definitely the Codcaster, it was
Buggy.
it was glitchy.
Yeah.
Everything about it was just, it was like they didn't even think about the Codcaster. Like they were talking about, oh, new, like it's all new. They added new features to it, but it's like they didn't even, they added the new features and then just left it as it was. And I feel like the game is more enjoyable to watch than to play. Like that's just my perspective on it. It's more enjoyable to watch than to play. So I feel like there is definitely room for improvement. So I'm agreeing with Sorda on this. It's a mediocre game at best.
Mediocre. Okay. And finally, Nova, yourself, of course, an org owner, recently came back to COD. What's your views, mate?
If I'm being brutally honest, and I'm looking at the whole,
That's what it's for.
spectrum.
Honest opinion.
No.
No.
I honestly don't think COD. This year's COD is a good
Since
game.
November.
Yeah, just because the hype was there, everything was set, like the stage was set for them. All they had to do was produce it, push it out, and then keep the content updated leading up to the map packs, after the map packs, keeping it consistent throughout the year. Realistically, I think Black Ops 3 has released more content than World War 2, if we're being honest. That they've announced more stuff, and it's a 2-year game. You know what I mean? I think I saw someone on Twitter the other day announcing they were entering the Black Ops 3 League or something. Like,
Yeah.
What?
That's how far we've
We've
gone.
We are sat in March, and we've got people going back to Black Ops 3 already.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't aware, Black Ops 3 released November 2015. We are March 2018. Over a year and a half.
I don't think it's
Sorry, 2.5 years.
Yeah, I don't think it's our fault. I think, like I mentioned earlier, it's the devs. It completely lies with them because it's there. It lies on them to push out content. It lies on them to push out all the stuff to keep us entertained. You know what I mean? To keep us attached to the game. Go back to Black Ops 3, and to be honest, I don't play many games. I played a lot of Fortnite recently just because it's fun, it's addictive. But that leads on to my point. Black Ops 3, I could play for hours upon day, like hours and hours. You know what I mean? I loved that game. It was addictive. It was fun. There was something to go for. You know what I mean? Camo stuff like that. It was really, really fun. Black Ops 2, I enjoyed playing it in the beta, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna get my love back for COD. I haven't played more than 24 hours on World War 2. So it's even less than probably Infinite Warfare or something, and that was 10 times worse. It starts with the devs, and it kind of ends with the devs in a sense. It's, you know, it doesn't really go further than that. If they were to, you know, push out what they can, because they have the manpower there. Like I mentioned earlier, they've got 10 times the men Fortnite Epic Games has. So why are we not seeing it? Why are we not seeing what they can produce? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It starts with what they're investing in. If they're going to invest in esports, they need to do it right. I'm not saying they're clueless, because look at what they're doing with the Overwatch League. You know what I mean? It's a huge success. I have to give it to them. It is good what they're doing with that. But when it comes to Call of Duty, you would have thought they'd know their audience and they know their market a bit more. But it seems like, from my perspective anyway, we're just getting ignored. It doesn't matter where you post on Reddit. It doesn't matter where you post on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, it gets ignored. We don't get a single reply. Epic Games, on the other hand, they've got a small community team, much smaller than Activision. If you post on Reddit, if you tweet at them,
they'll notice it.
90% you'll get a response, especially on Reddit. You're basically guaranteed a response. They will always respond with their thoughts. They'll drop you a little message. They'll explain why they're not doing this, why they're doing that. You know, thanking you for the feedback, stuff like that. In the last 2 months, they've published so much content. You know what I mean? The maps have been upgraded. New different weapons have been introduced. And like I went back to my point earlier, I understand it's a smaller company and that they're much more motivated to do so. But Activision has no excuse at this point. I still can't see the perspective from how they're not being able to publish such content. I can admit, from the last week or so, there has been an improvement. I admit that it has improved slightly. However, it's far from what I expect from an esport. Far. And I believe if Call of Duty wants to be taken seriously, from my perspective anyway, I look on success as numbers. Viewership has been down from Infinite Warfare, and I didn't think that was possible. Viewership has been an all-time low. Advertisement has been an all-time low. Content lowest than it has ever been. I don't need to go into any more detail. You know what I mean? Every sector is slipping, and that's leading to an overall effect on, you know, it's a domino effect. It knocks onto everyone. So I think it starts and ends with the devs. They need to get a kick up their ass and start doing shit, in a sense. And as much as I hate to look at it from that perspective, because it is kind of ignorant, that it's their fault. You know what I mean? It literally lies with them.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And just before we move on to discuss the next topic, it's just something I want to raise with you. It's or something you mentioned. The fact that you say it's the devs. It's a 3-year cycle. There's been a lot of talk in recent years, especially since Infinite Warfare. Those who remember Infinite Warfare multiplayer, it was released half empty. No leaderboards, no combat record, no emblems. We got those later on in the year. World War II, they launched with bugs. They launched with issues. You can't load into HQ. Game Battle Beta is glitching. No promotion. We only just got Theater. What, at NOLA? Or was it Dallas we got the Theater mode where you could actually watch the event? Like, that should be in there directly from launch. I'm not sure whether it was or not. It might have just been a NOLA thing, but it's a 3-year cycle. And there's a lot of talk that they start to spend more time on the campaign, the multiplayer, and that's why multiplayer, like all of you said before, it's starting to become not fun. Sorry, you mentioned the grind for prestige isn't there a lot more. It's more just challenges every now and then, updating the game. It's like they're spending more time just promoting the visuals of the game than actually benefiting the player, which we're the ones that are playing the game. We're the ones that are paying money for the game, and they're putting more time into a campaign. You can play in less than 4 hours. You can put into the campaign. You're done. Still got to play multiplayer.
The last what 2 years, like IW's campaign was insane. Like,
it
that
was very
an
good.
Amazing campaign. This campaign pretty good as well. Like, we can all agree.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not what you're not going to play it for a whole year.
No.
Are you?
No.
Like, no. Nobody wants a good campaign. Everybody wants a good multiplayer. As soon as they start doing that, it will be fine. But I think we've pretty much covered everything that devs can do, and hopefully next year, Vondi's back, Treyarch's back. You know, they get esports really well. They get the competitive side of things. As soon as devs start, you know, not caring less, but putting less focus on the campaign and maybe even the zombies. You know, you can have like a separate team on zombies. It's not that big of a thing compared to multiplayer, whereas you need pretty much 24/7 kind of thing on that, because there's the most issues and the most like requests coming from multiplayer. As soon as they do that, we'll have a good system. Even if the game isn't like, oh my god, I want to play this every day. I want to, you know, give my life to this game. Even if it's not that good, like if they do the right things, at least make it like playable for a year. Like add things, make different things, like, you know, like they've just done with the Shamrock and Ore thing in Headquarters, where you can, you know, like the game mode where you can kill the little leprechaun on the floor or something and get like full streaks for it. That's cool. Like, I was running around for like 3 hours killing that guy. I'm not even joking. And I literally do not play pubs. And like the last few days I've actually like quite enjoyed pubs because grinding for the supply drops and stuff. So as soon as they do that, then we shouldn't have an issue too much.
So guys, be sure to let us know what your guys' thoughts are in the chat, whether you think COD's improving, it's a downward hill, whether it's stayed the same, whether you guys think. Be sure to let us know. But I'm going to start with you on this next topic, Soda. It's something that you, obviously being a player inside of the youth scene, is something you feel a lot passionate about. Myself as well, Quinn, all of us, we've all been a part of the youth scene in some way or another. The question I'm posting to you guys is a general question: the youth scene, a good thing or a bad thing in terms of maybe sort of its reputation, whether it's Soda's ready, in terms of whether I'll give you guys sort of both perspectives, okay? So the bad thing, this is kind of COD in general, but more the youth scene as well. COD in general, it's seen as a toxic community. Not by some people, it's seen as maybe a charity full of immature children, people that don't address people properly, that are ignorant, egotistical. This is not my views, this is just things that I've seen other people do. That's just some views of the COD scene and the youth scene as well. Something I've seen a lot from org owners. Nova, you might have a feeling on this as well, of people DMing an org. Yo, what way is that to DM an org? I have no part in this. You three have all been under various organizations owned as well, Nova. You obviously being the CEO of Radiant, that DMing an organization with that is never going to be professional enough, and that's probably one of the reasons that the youth scene and COD gets the sort of maybe the name that it does. But like I said, it's got some bad sides to it, like arrogance and stuff like that, but it has got a good side as well. It's a helpful transition. We've seen many players transition from youth to 18 plus to professional level casters, players. They've all been in the youth scene at some stage. They've all gone into higher levels. We've all had a different part in the community, but saw it yourself, like I said, being a youth player of Nexus. I'd love to get your reviews on what you think of the community. Of course, you may be biased because you are obviously a member of the community, but I want your honest opinion. You can go as deep as you want. Youth scene, good or bad? In terms of its structure, maybe you want to talk. You can take good or bad and do it any way you want. Structure, rep.
This has nothing to do with the structure of the way things are played. I mean, people like Val, ESUp, and EG doing absolutely fantastic things. I mean, you, Quinn, all the other casters, you know, that fantastic, amazing, right? It gives all of us something to kind of work for, but it is so toxic. Like, the community is shocking. You look at other communities, man, they're so supportive of each other. Everyone's just so hateful. I think, it spices things up at the moment, but it is not a good community. A lot of people don't want to be a part of it sometimes. And it's going to be very hard to change people's attitudes. A lot of people, I mean, especially in like the the top two teams, a few from OBN, people like that. They've been around since AW, Black Ops 3. I mean, loads of people have been playing for ages now, and that attitude hasn't changed this long. Why should it change now? I think it's something people got to live with. I mean, what there's been a lot of drama on Twitter the last sort of few days. I don't know if you've all seen the whole OBN TD saga.
That's
That
something actually we're going to come to a lot later. I haven't seen a lot of it,
yeah,
but it's a developing situation, that one.
I think even like Bulldog and Cryptic were in there like arguing with OBN like why should you be considered so good compared to TD and the others when really you haven't proved it against us. And the main thing that I want to kind of brush over, I'm not going to go like an hour long into it, is the
Yeah,
actual gap between Bulldog and Cryptic. We can all say they're top two teams. Bulldog, no pun intended, being the top dog at the moment. You know, they are champions for a reason of what all three leagues, I think.
Yep, 8 in a row.
They are miles ahead of everyone, and I mean absolute miles. You'll not see OBN win any league this year with them two teams in it. You will not see TD win, and I think they're the two closest teams to them. You will not see them get close.
It's a very brash
You will
statement.
not, though. I mean, OBN, yeah, they could probably give Cryptic a good game. They have
Yeah.
before. But they're not gonna, even if they go past that hump, they're not gonna beat Bulldog. Bulldog are gonna absolutely walk all over them. And I mean, I don't have a chance against Bulldog or Cryptic. You know, nobody does. So, the reason they have such a massive gap over the rest of the community is the practice they get. From experience, and I'll be honest here, the practice that I get, it isn't. You don't really learn a lot half the time. Unless you've got like good teammates. Like my three teammates at the moment, you can actually sit after a game and kind of go over why things are going wrong. I think OBN can do that as well. I think TD can do that at times. But oh God, it's such a touchy subject, man.
It was said to be
practice-
contentious, whatever way anybody
practice-
took it.
The practice that those my phone's blowing up right now. The practice, yeah, it literally is. The practice those two teams get, I mean, Money Eights, for example, I think even Marky B was in there the other day. They get really good practice against good 18 plus teams. I mean, I think Bulldog just do not scrim youth teams at all. I think they prefer to scrim 18 plus teams. Maybe that's because they're making that transition for Black Ops 4, maybe the end of this year, I'm not too sure. And I think a lot of Cryptic are making that transition as well. You just don't get good practice if you're those guys against, you know, the top like the top like the third to sort of like 12th
The
team.
bubble.
You just don't get good practice because you're walking all over them. Even if you're not walking all over them, it's at least close. And I mean, yeah, TD beat what Bulldog, I think 3-0. They kind of like washed over them in the Val tournament.
Yeah.
But you can't really say, yeah, that's them proving they're better. The gap's closed. Because really, where Bulldogs shine is playoffs. I don't think they even play well in scrims, tourneys, reg season. They prove themselves in playoffs time and time again. And I think as soon as teams start realizing that the practice they're getting is inefficient and unbeneficial, teams need to start going right. We need to sit down, discuss strats, loads of things. Very few teams do it. I know the previous teams that I've been on. You know, the last team Vortex with Destiny Fusions and a couple of other fourths. We would get on, we would scrim, win, lose, go off, not talk about it, come on the next day, scrim, win, lose, come off, not talk about it. That sort of practice doesn't help anyone. You know, you get in game time.
Gotta
yeah,
talk about your losses, you know?
You learn
Gotta
the
improve.
game, but it's like you don't actually get anything beneficial out of it. And teams, I mean, the whole roster thing where teams cannot stick together. It is a proven fact. Very few teams can stick together. You get friendship circles that get some people into teams. Not going to name names. People that haven't played all year getting into good teams for no apparent reason because of friendships. Like that needs to stop. You need to start, you know, appreciating players that are on the rise, getting better. Players that are already good, maybe not in the teams that they, I don't want to say deserve, but maybe should be in to increase your chances of winning playoffs or contending with Bulldog, Cryptic, you know, teams like that. I think as soon as teams and players stop going, yeah, you're my buddy, come team with me, we'll see the gap closed for one, and giving like new players a chance to get into these teams. Because I was speaking to somebody I think last night who quite new to the scene. They messaged me and they were like, "Yo, could you just give me a few tips and that?" And I said to him, I was like, "It's gonna be an absolute gauntlet the next like 2 to 3 years to even get on a good team because people just won't let you in. Egos are sky high. Yeah, we've all been there. Our egos are pretty high, and I think it kills the scene because just people aren't getting the opportunities they deserve, man. And I think as soon as everyone's attitude changes, we all start accepting each other. All being best buds, it's never gonna happen. But if we all start being a bit friendlier, a bit nicer, giving everyone chances,
Hmm.
supporting each other, then you'll start to see you'll be sat there watching the CWL and be able to go, yo, I used to team with this guy. I've seen this guy in the youth scene, and he gets opportunities after opportunities to make that good transition. I think the only person that's actually made a good transition at the start of the year was Insight. Everyone knows who Insight is. He was teaming with Revolt and Co.
Yeah.
They were very close to making the pro league, and they played in the youth scene, but they were like Bulldog, where they wouldn't practice against some of the under 18 teams. They wouldn't even scrim at all. They just play like S&D tourneys and wages because the practice isn't efficient. So as soon as everyone becomes a bit more professional, and like you said, with like teams and players popping up to orgs like, yo, you don't do that. There's very little professionalism, and I think that's kind of killing big part of the scene right now.
Yeah, when you're saying that, we're gonna jump on to you, Nova, and it's something I've seen. I'm not gonna name org owners because whether it's just memory or just I'm not gonna just name names. Various org owners have been tweeting in the past about how maybe the contention has been brought up. Various organizations saying, don't say yo to an org. It sets you up. Say hello, hey, how you doing? Don't say yo. I'm sure being a former CEO of an org that has former teams in the youth scene and the 18 plus as well, is that frustrating for you? Does that maybe just put you off that team a little bit?
I mean, when it comes to youth teams, it's like very split. Obviously, a lot of people go with just the normal saying unprofessional, hostile, don't go into it. And going back a couple of weeks, I guess I would have that kind of vibe. But realistically, if I'm looking on it, there's a few individuals in my eyes that kind of ruin the whole effect. From my perspective and me dealing with youth players, there is loads. I feel like they need to prove something as players. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's egos. It's more ignorancy to the fact how rude they are to individuals. And Stubbs in the chat will definitely know who I'm on about when it comes to that. But
Welcome, Stubbs.
There's some people like, let's say, Johnny W. If you haven't dealt with Johnny W.
Oh no!
Johnny,
this is gonna get interesting. All right, continue, Nova.
Oh no,
continue.
I'll be honest with Johnny.
You can okay.
Is he in the chat?
Just to clarify, stream. These three can be as honest as they want. They can name names. They don't have to, but they can if they wish. Go ahead. Right. You can if you want.
Just to start that now, I love Johnny, and I think he's a top lad. But my perspective with him before I actually met with him, I was like, Johnny W, absolute dickhead. I thought he was a complete twat. But if I'm getting dead serious, when I dealt with Johnny and when I dealt with him Radiant, I truly realised what a sound guy he was, and it kind of puts that in perspective. I've talked to Johnny many times, and I'm like, mate, you don't need to put on that front. You know what I mean? You don't need to put on that front of hostility to these youth players. You earn your respect from what you've playing with, and I think Johnny's already got that. He's got enough respect for the tournaments he's competed in. And like Johnny's putting in chat now, you wouldn't get annoyed. I know Johnny on that personal level that I can say.
He's a sound guy. He's a really funny guy to talk to.
No, he is, and that's the thing. But from an outside perspective, he isn't. And that's just me being generally honest. When you mix with him, sound lad, top lad, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's with a lot of youth players. There's loads I can mention. One being Karmaholic. I honestly, Karmaholic.
What a prick! Let me just say that.
There we go.
And I will now sit back. What a prick!
That proves my point. You don't know Karmaholic, so you think he's a prick. I look on Twitter and I see someone
booted me loads of times. What? He's booted me like 3 times in the last 2 months. What else am I supposed to say about him?
Total idiot on Twitter. But when I dealt with him, what a sound lad. Same thing with Kemzo. Kemzo's a bit borderline. He pisses me off.
I love Kemzo.
Yeah, I love Kemzo too when I was working with him. But on an outsider's perspective, like, Kemzo, what are you fronting for? You know what I mean? What are you trying to present to yourself, mate? You're just embarrassing yourself. But when you actually talk to him one-to-one, sound guy. I don't know what he's trying to front on Twitter or whatever. But that's kind of the theme when it comes to youth players. There is loads I can mention. And I think Johnny W, Karmaholic, there's stuff like that. they are so sound when you talk to them via DMs. I'd enter the youth scene if there was kind of one of them players I could grab up, just because they're sound. Another one too, just because he's in TD.
Okay.
But probably when it comes to the best youth
I think I know
player
what you're going to
ever-
say, but proceed.
I don't think you will, unless actually you might. But Saiyan, I think
Oh,
he's
okay,
the
no, I didn't
best
then.
Call of Duty youth player I've ever worked with. I doubt he's in the chat. He's in TD at the moment.
I was
Best
going to
youth
say
player.
that TD are probably the most professional team you've got there. You don't ever see Billy saying or I think Rebounds is back on that team.
Obviously, I can't
unconfirmed,
relate to
but-
the other players, but when it
Not-
comes to Saiyan, top
Yeah,
lad.
he's-
Honestly, I
he is,
would
yeah.
genuinely work with Saiyan any day of the week. He best youth player I've ever worked with, hands down. He's a top lad. But there is others that I'm not going to mention. But Stubbsy would definitely know I'm on about. He's kind of embarrasses the youth scene and puts a bad word in it because we've got this perspective.
Go on, name
of,
names. I want to hear the names.
He doesn't have to,
I
but you
can't
can if you
because-
wish.
You're just going to drain my mentions later on tonight, and I can't be asked for that.
DM me his name later. I will not reveal it. Just
So when it comes to these kind of lads, it's what are you playing for? You know what I mean? What are you trying to push yourself out as? If I know it sounds like complete cliche, you know, be nice, be kind to everyone. You don't have to be a saint. You just need to be a normal human being. And
yeah,
when
be a
you're
nice guy.
when you're totally attacking everyone 24/7, you're totally being hostile. You literally non-stop. Like what's your main aim at the end of the day, mate? Because realistically, you may think in your head, I'm worth this and I can get in any organisation. I can guarantee you won't get in the top 10 organisations if you're like that. I guarantee that 110%. And that's when it comes to mention. See what you mentioned earlier about the about OBN not beating other teams. That's when I like kind of frowned, just because in my perspective, OBN, Cryptic, I don't know that you've seen that much. So whatever the top teams are, there is no 1, 2, 3. There is no top 3. You know what I mean? They're all merged. It depends how they play on the day, in my perspective. Bulldog can get beaten, Cryptic can get beaten, TD can get beaten, and OBN can get beaten. They can all get beaten if they play wrong on the day. Simple as. And again, vice
So I'll be
versa.
back in a minute.
They
There
can
you go.
beat-
I'm back. Yeah.
No worries, no
Sorry,
worries.
Carry on.
No, see, but I look right. Don't get me wrong, yeah. And I'm trying to say
And
a
the
lot of
chat's
good
kicking off.
shit.
Oh, yes.
I'm literally Tony owner Bulldog. Best part. Can't wait to see him at 62. He's gonna biggest hug ever. Bulldog are not top 1. Bulldog are not top 3. They're a top team. Don't get me wrong, but it's a merge. There is no top 3. There is no top 5. There is no top 1. There is a merger team. Simple as. From my
man,
perspective. Yeah, it's gonna be an unpopular opinion.
I really
No,
wanna
right, Solly,
disagree
you
with
said there's no
man.
top 1.
Yeah.
Okay, that's your opinion. That's fine. That's
Okay,
that's
It
fine.
depends on what the team competes at the day. If Bulldog
Okay.
can beat better each tournament on the day, of course they're going to win. And of course, on paper, that looks like that. But realistically, like I think you mentioned earlier, TD took down Bulldog or something.
Yeah,
In the
They
Val
got
tournament,
better
yes.
on the day. You know what I mean?
I've been told it was I think either JC or Kez's connection issues that caused that, but
It's online COD. That's what you
it's
have to
online
say,
COD, yeah,
consider.
and they
Um,
probably played better than them anyway. So
Yeah, it's going to be an
Kind of-
unpopular opinion.
gotta
There's
give
no
it to
top
him.
3 because everyone's so core and stuck to that top 3 now. Everyone has in their head OBN, TD, Bulldog, Cryptic, whatever, top 4. Everyone has that embedded in their head, and I get that. But realistically, it's the same as any other esport. Who competes better on the day? Simple as. And if Bulldog compete better on the day 90% of the time, they can appear as that top 1 team. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
it's simple. Comes down to the fact who competes better on that day. Simple as. There's definitely no. I'd say it's more of a blurred line when it comes to top
Right,
3. In my
okay.
perspective, anyway.
on
Yeah.
that note, I kind of want to like touch on the whole OBN TD saga. I'm sure Assassin Quinn, you guys seen. I don't know if you did or not. Did you?
We've got a
Yeah.
question about it later.
Well, I'm Team OBN here. Like, I'm Team.
But that was that had a lot to do with it. Like the whole roster shuffles and that. It just the top 3, right? I think the top 2 are pretty set in stone, in my opinion. From playing all of those teams, them 2 teams are set in stone. I think OBN are probably the closest team now to those top 2. I think before, when OBN and TD did that like little trade between Cryptic and Rebounds,
hmm
in my opinion, TD at the time were looking better, and they were like the number 3 team, and OBN were probably the number 4. Not by nothing, like by a whisker. Maybe if OBN played better on the day, they'd
Yeah, I
win.
think.
If that sort of like whoever plays better,
Yeah.
whatever maps they get, that kind of settles it. But now with rebounds being back on TD and Cryptic being back on OBN, I think OBN looked better than TD again. That's going to
Yeah.
cause some hate. Sorry,
It might do.
especially to Waza, because that's the only one I really know on that team. But it's true. That's all I'm saying.
It might do. But so we've got those. We've got Radiant, or sorry, we've got Nova. Outsider view. We've got Soda. Inside view. Danny, my friend. Me and you, we're kind of in the privileged position of being able to be as bipartisan as we can.
Yeah.
In terms of we get to see, probably, as casters, we get to see probably the most of anyone.
We just
Of
get
these
the
teams.
overview of the whole thing.
Yeah, we kind of just,
Just like,
if there's beef going on, we're kind of like, we know what this is about. This team's beat this team. But from
Yeah.
your perspective, you don't have to actually talk about like the structure of the leagues. Cash, like I said, the COD scene, like COD G scene, good or bad, you can take that in any way you want. Structure, players, teams, any way you want. Just take that in your own opinion. COD scene, good or bad, in your own. You can structure that how you want.
I really feel like Call of Duty, as that an esport, it can really go one of two ways. It can either be like one of the best scenes you can be in, or just one of the most toxic scenes you can be in. It's literally like when you think back to Black Ops 2, it was literally one of the best. It was the best scene. That was the best it's ever been. And now you come to now, it's just like so toxic, just so like you just get. It seems like you just get a different argument coming up every single week. It's just like, in terms of players, it's the competition's becoming much stiffer. It's like everyone's, even though Bulldog and Cryptic are pulling away, the group behind them is getting a lot more competition in it. There's
yeah,
more people
100%.
fighting for like you see like 12, 16 teams fighting for like top 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like in past games, you'd have the top 8 teams just set in stone. Now you've got 12, 16 teams fighting for that top 8.
Yeah, I think that top 16 to top 6 sort of that bracket.
Yeah.
That is a complete toss up for the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at Val playoffs, I believe. Credi Esports has
Fourth.
run. Where did that come from? Like, yeah, they beat OBN, but I have a feeling OBN were
Yeah.
on a bit of an off day. I don't think if they played today or tomorrow or yesterday that would happen.
Yeah.
OBN would 3-0 them. But it was that kind of run that just proved my point that
Yeah.
they weren't even considered a top 16 team. Nobody expected
Yeah.
that. But it's like, because of this game and the way things can kind of go and the way teams can play on a certain day, like youth teams do not have the composure to play the same every single day. Like you will come on and you will be on an off day. You look at a team like in the Pro League, like Luminosity, they are so consistently in the top 3 for a reason that they have composure and they know how to work together, right? Youth teams don't have that same level of composure, whereas other teams do. And I think OBN probably lost their composure against Credi, and that led to a flipping top 4 placing. And now all of those players can go, yeah, I place top 4. And that, for me, will probably never happen for that team again.
For Credi.
Yeah, because, I think a lot of arguments, they split up, but yeah, that whole top 16 to top 6 bracket is a literal toss-up. Like, for example, I'll use one team, right? The new Exilium roster of Minicow, Drags, Wolf,
Miller,
and Miller, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That team on paper could make it as far as like top 6, top 4, anywhere between there. But say like they have one off series, they could end up placing top 16. I look at Viral in the first EG playoffs, placed like top 24. They got beat by on paper weak Vortex team of my teammate Kaboom, and then you had like Zach, Matty, and Xinja. People then would never expect Viral to lose that with the roster they had. So again, leading back to my point, it's like that toss up between top 16 and 6 is so inconsistent. Like it gives everyone a reason to go, yeah, we can beat this person, we can beat this person, and then that's why it leads to a lot of beef in Twitter because people disagree because it's such a massive toss up. Like you could have my team saying, yeah, we're gonna place higher than your team, right? and that team will instantly disagree because scrims could have gone half and half. They might think they're better because of who they've beat, and we might think that we're better because of who we've beat.
Mhm.
And then Twitter becomes toxic, other people get involved, and you've seen it in a nutshell. That is literally how it goes. But it's just insane, man. I don't know. It's crazy. That's all
Yeah.
I've got to say. All I've got to say, man.
So before we move on to what is going to be, well, the penultimate topic, you could probably say, a final view from you guys. I'll give you one bad point and one good point, and you can make your mind up as to COD youth scene good or bad. Good things. It's a transition. Youth scene, you go 18 plus, you go pro, you made it. You see examples of players. Hixie's done it. Cammy's done it. IW youth scene players, 18 plus World War II players. You've seen casters do it. Courage was, I believe, a tweet he put out 6 years ago. He was where we are, Quinn. Now he's,
Yeah.
well, formerly full-time professional caster. Radiant, you've previously been in the youth scene, or sorry, no, you've been in the youth scene with a team as well. Now you've sort of moved up a step to bigger, better things, you probably say, in 18 plus, going to events, I think, consistently now. Sending a team to Halo London as well. You sent a team to Halo London?
Yeah, it's just focusing less on Call of Duty just because it doesn't aspire confidence and at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'll actually start with you. So, COD scene good or bad? Or youth scene good or bad? From what you've been involved in past games and as your experience as an outsider, from what you've seen.
to be honest, it's not bad. Like it's far from bad. You know what I mean? It's far from rock bottom, absolute awful. I think the leagues keep it holding, keep it glued together at the end of the day, just because they're putting so much effort, and you know they've got real life jobs at the end of the day. They're doing this in the part time. You know what I mean? They're dedicating so much time to hosting these leagues for youth players, and I think the only issue is there is the actual people who play it. And I'm not saying that's the entire youth scene. I'm saying it's a handful of people, how they front themselves, how they want to look. You know what I mean? From an outside perspective, that's why it's not taken seriously. It's far from the whole youth scene. I'd say 90% of it is sound. They're all top lads. However, I like that you mentioned earlier that people, you know, sending messages like "yo" to organisations and all that. It's not my main issue. It's my main issue that they weren't educated to know enough to how to contact an org. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because realistically, it's not. I don't know how to explain. Like in school, you learn a lot. I know you not learn a lot about English, how to write letters, stuff like that. You can relate it to esports. You can relate it to stuff like that. So it blows my mind how some people don't know how to contact an organisation properly. And inside on that, the 18 plus COD team contacted me the other day. I helped them write up a resume. They hadn't found an org for like 2 months. They wrote up this resume that I made for them. They put all the details in, everything they should have in there. They found an org that gave them funding because they had that resume, because they contacted that organisation with such a better perspective. You know what I mean? And it's not about, you don't have to go into so much detail as a youth scene, but as a youth player, you just need to give it some kind of, not professionalism, but some kind of, that you actually care, that you actually you want to be in this organization. You know what I mean? You haven't just sent the copy and paste email to every org that you've just seen on your timeline. You need to show that you're interested, and I can guarantee you, if you put your full effort to an organization, you'll 90% get it. Just because they'll be impressed by what you've done, because they won't have expected that from any other youth team. And I can guarantee you can get the funding you want. You can get whatever you want from an organization if you market yourselves the right way. First thing, if you're not streaming, why are you not streaming? You need to get on the stream. If you don't have an Elgato, you don't need a capture card. Just stream on PlayStation. I think Dean's the best example for that. My man is grinding.
Road to
he brings
partner.
in viewers, and he streams on his PlayStation, and he brings in more viewers than most of the youth scene that have capture cards.
Some people can't. Like I can't.
I understand internet may be an issue. I get that. Yeah. And I understand in the youth scene, kind of creating YouTube videos and all that is kind of looked down upon just because confidence-wise, and you're most likely going to be taking the piss out if we're being honest. Because they're youth.
Some people can but don't, and that's an issue. I think.
Yeah. You need to be creating some kind of content, and if it's not Twitch, get on social media, get on your Twitter, posting every day, interacting, stuff like that.
Build up a following.
Because it doesn't matter. It's a hard one to talk about, but if it doesn't. let's say we've got two COD teams. I always compare it. I've got two 18+ teams contacting me. One, they're going to place top 24, let's say, at LAN. Don't really have a Twitter following, don't really stream much. They're really solid players. You've got another team. They're going to place top 32, maybe top 40-ish.
But they're going to bring a lot more to the org.
Yeah, huge followings on Twitter. They stream every 2K, brings in a couple hundred viewers. Who are you going to go for? You know what I mean? It's such like... It's such an easy option because they bring more to the table when it comes. And at the end of the day, I understand smaller organisations may not care about it, but bigger organisations, sponsors is key. And how you showcase your sponsors, how you're going to do that? It's through social media, it's through streams, it's through YouTube videos. So they're the only platforms you're going to get that. You're going to get that channel through. So you need more growth with it. Hence you go for them players with bigger social medias. But if you really want to know how to contact an org, it's simply, hello, my name is this is my team, previous achievements, what can you bring to the organisation? Then to end it off, we're seeking this, but we can be negotiable. You know what I mean? We're seeking full funding for these leagues, but again, we're negotiable because we can understand you may not be willing to put the full investment into all these leagues. Let's say we win this one and we place in the money, then we can talk about more. Be negotiable at the end of the day. Don't demand, don't be like, we want full funding for these leagues because we expect it, because everyone else gets it. That's not how it works. You need to prove your worth to an organisation if you want something back. It needs to be a two-way street at the end of the day. And that a clever organisation will see that point, and I think most are catching on to that. But don't expect anything. Don't expect anything from an organisation. They're not just there to give you money. They're there to grow you as players. They're there to grow you as a roster, grow your streaming platforms, grow your social platforms, stuff like that. There's a lot more an organisation can offer than just £20 into a VAL league. You know.
Yeah, I was looking at the chat. Sorry to cut you off. What Johnny just said. He made a good point about the whole streaming thing.
Yeah.
I kind of get that, man.
If I stream an EGL tourney, which we aren't taking super serious, no one watches because they know we'll win because no one is good in it. Like, not in a bad way, but you pull viewers to everything you stream because people know it's going to be close games no matter who you play. So that brings up a point that I believe, was it you, Nova, said that there's not really a solidified sort of 1, 2, 3. Johnny's kind of just said that.
I understand why the professional teams at the top of Call of Duty don't stream. I get that. I think they should. I get it because strats they want to keep them they want to keep them quiet. But I think the perfect example is my own player, HeyJ. Like I was
going to mention him. Yeah, he
doesn't stream scrims every day. You know what I mean? He doesn't give away his strats. He scrims league play. He scrims the odd PP match because you're not giving away that important information. Sometimes he will stream scrims. Can't get words out. Because that's more interesting to watch at the end of the day. You get more of a general idea what the team's about. You know what I mean? However, just because you're streaming doesn't mean you're going to give away strats. You don't have to. You don't really have to activate them strats whilst you're streaming. It's just good to grow your platform. I think league matches, if it isn't already being casted, you need to stream that just because it's guaranteed viewership at the end of the day. People like to watch that. You could be the worst streamer in the world and you could bang on a 2K stream and guarantee 40 viewers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter you're streaming on PlayStation. It doesn't matter if you don't have a camera. It doesn't matter if you have the worst quality ever. People like to watch these kind of matches. And I think people need to get into it. I understand strategy comes first and practice should come first, but if you're coming to the point where you're literally refusing to stream any scrim, any type of practice, then that's where you're going wrong. You're at this stage where you can, you know what I mean? So take advantage of it. Take advantage of the platform.
Even if you're not even if you're not streaming like something that people want to see, at least create like a consistent schedule that you're adhering to every day. Like, the more consistency you have, like maybe say you're like what Johnny's saying, like his team would be scrimming Zealous and they'd be clocking in like 10 viewers for the first time. If he or any other players had like a consistent stream schedule where they're streaming every single day for a good elongated amount of time, the next time they scrim Zealous, they could get like 22 viewers because people will just want to watch them because maybe they're enjoying the stream or stuff like that. And he was saying like if they scrim Dens and that, they'd get viewers.
Yeah.
Like, are you going to be scrimming Dens and shots consistently? No, because they'll obviously want to scrim other teams. Just create that consistency. Like look at Vipers for example. Like his emotes, he's got his own emotes now. He's creating like a personal brand where like if he approaches an organization saying, like, for example, yourself, Nova, he's like, look, I've got my own following, and I've got this many subscribers, this many followers, I've got my own emotes. I'll bring in viewers, I'll bring in a decent following. That automatically creates like a, you just look at him and go, yeah, I kind of want that guy to come under my wing, come under my organ. I would be happy to work with him. Whereas someone else comes in and says, yeah, I'm good at COD. Just pick me up. I play top 6 in Val. Like, but then a guy comes in and goes, yeah, I play top 8 in Val, but I can also bring this. It just adds something to your resume that maybe other
Yeah.
people just don't have.
Yeah.
It's good.
I'm also wrong with you, Solid, just before we move on to Danny, to finish it off, the topic, yourself. Just from what you've already said based off of that. Solidified answer. COD Youth Scene, good or bad?
I feel like just
Oh,
seeing.
Quinn.
Yeah, to
Sorry,
me-
Quinn.
to me-
Sorry, I thought
It's
you
all
told me.
good.
I've already answered
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I
it's all
just
good.
feel like with obviously it's for like the top teams in the youth scene, it can be seen as like a stepping stone to like for when they advance onto the 18 plus scene, it can be seen as that like step to get themselves known in or like make a name for themselves in the youth scene. So then the play like the sort of like middle to top players in 18 plus can like notice them. So I feel like it's good in that sense, but obviously like how toxic it is at times and how unprofessional I feel like it's bad as well. So I'm sort of like on the fence. I feel like there's obviously the reasons for it's good, reason it's bad. Overall, I do kind of feel like obviously being a stepping stone, I feel like the good things kind a little bit overweigh the bad things in my opinion. So I do think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I do think it's a good thing.
One thing we're just going to update you guys on stream, of course, Nova, busy guy. He's got a lot of meetings. So what we're going to do is, I'm proposing, what we're going to do is, we got a lot of questions in from you guys. We love to see the engagement. We're going to go through maybe, what do you guys think? Maybe couple questions, just maybe questions that we all can interact with. What we're going to do is, the ones we don't get answered, don't worry. You didn't type for no reason. We're going to just carry those questions on to the next episode. And obviously the third topic was obviously the preview of EEG. What we're going to do with that is, we're going to bring this back, maybe we'll try and do the EEG review sort of every other week during the season, or maybe, obviously me, you, and Quinn, it'll be sort of a 4-week season or whatever. We can maybe split it and put the review of weeks 1 and 2 and the review of weeks 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, sorry, in the next week. So obviously we don't want to hold Nova back. So what we're going to do is, we're going to get these questions, well, like I said, whatever we don't get answered, we're going to bring on back. So actually, no, we're going to do a bit of a mix. We're going to do a bit of a mix. We haven't covered it before. We're going to try and get it done. And try and get ones that you actually we haven't really covered. Because we sort of covered like a broad base. Like I said, the intention was to go through a broad basis. So what we're going to do is, we're going to just try and get as much as we can through. Let me just have a look. You got quite a few interesting ones, didn't you? No, but you got quite a few interesting ones.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. I'll name names. This came from Ado. Ado, those of you that in the UC might know who he is. I'm good friends with him as well. Those of you that are close friends with me will know him. That he asked, he said, hashtag let's talk COD. Do you think the Bulldog will be even more dominant than they were in Season 1, or do you think there's a chance another team might do the same thing as Bulldog? Nova, you brought it up. A separated top 3. Can Bulldog now 8 championships dating back to January 2017? You said there's not a solidified top 3. Any team could show up on their day. Whether it's a straight answer or you want to dive into it, I'm not sure. Can Bulldog do the same in Season 2?
I mean, it's my same point that I'll go back to. They play better than the other teams on the day. They're going to win. They're going to consistently win. They're going to continue that domination. But again, you saw the other day that they're not unbeatable. You know what I mean? Due to unpopular opinion, they're far from unbeatable. Everyone knows it's possible. It's just how you compete and how you play against them on that day. Yeah, they're beatable and they can be beaten. But if they continue to do what they did last season, well, of course you can already kind of predict the outcome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People need to look at what Bulldog are doing differently compared to everyone else, because it's kind of comes less down to now pure gun skill. It comes down to more theory behind the game. You know what I mean? I think someone put in chat, Bulldog do a lot of going watching back on streams, going stuff like that, doing theory behind each team they
Yeah.
play. That's one thing I don't think any of the youth team does. So like, is there any isn't that a clear indication to why they're winning? You know what I mean? They're doing the research behind the team, so that's one thing to say. But yeah, it goes back to my original point. Whoever plays better on that day is gonna win, and that's simple as like it's pretty much fact that.
Yeah. And Quinn, me and you, the outsiders, we've seen Bulldog win, like I said, back to back to back. We can go on for ages. EG Winter Championship, various Vals, 2 DOMs, an EEG as well, an ES Hub, the 3-peat in Season 1. They took every single championship that was on the table for them to win. Obviously, we've got the EG Championship Series Season 2 starting off on Friday. We've got, I believe, Unity kicking off very soon, if not Saturday. Potentially 4 championships they can do the same this season.
Yeah.
Me and you can maybe speak together on this. The fact that, yes, Bulldog, they're not unbeatable. They've only been beaten, I think if I can remember my time, Val Season 6, they dropped 1 series. They've only dropped, I believe, 2 series in the whole of their 8 championships in playoffs. They took 1 at Season 6, LBN took a 3-2 off them, and then Bulldog won the championship.
Yeah.
Val, Cryptic took them to grand finals. They dropped them down the losers bracket, they came back up. Bulldog took both best of 5s. So, for you and myself, we're going to be seeing them quite a lot in these next couple weeks and months ahead. Can they do the same? I'm going to give my view. I think they can, but will they? It's hard to argue against it. Can they win 11, 12 championships back to back to back? I think they will win at least 3 of them. The 4th one is up for debate. Because they may not enter it or they may just not compete. But I think 3 out of 4, yes, they can. But obviously, of course, you want to give your view as well.
Yeah, I feel like just seeing how they've performed, like throughout IW, obviously had like picked up new players for World War II. I just feel like they will. I think they will do it. Like even if like the 4 leagues, I just feel like as long as they get in that playoffs, as long as they get into the playoffs, they'll be fine. I think they'll do it.
Yeah. And Soda, finally, yourself, you've competed on various organizations, Vortex, Battilium as well with Kaboom.
Oh, yeah.
Nexus, you're a man of many traits, a man of many organizations as well in the past, playoff experience for yourself. I believe you're on that. Were you on that Battilium roster?
Yeah.
At, was it Val? That ended up finishing top 32?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you were not unfortunate to be on that roster.
I was on Vortex.
Oh, yes. I remember.
Yeah, I got snaked for a little bum buddy of Ginger's, but you know we won't go into detail over that because I placed better than him anyway. So,
can they do the same?
Bulldog, they will win without a doubt. I mean,
they'll win something.
I know that Gizmo went over to Bulldog from Cryptic, right? I don't know who Cryptic picked up. Maybe you do.
TBD at the moment. Still Hallie, Detain, Disarray. Okay. That's the rumor mill.
Let's say they pick up somebody who can give Bulldog a good run for their money. Then maybe, but I think again Bulldog will just walk over everyone. I don't think it will even be close. No, I don't. I really don't think it will be close at all. If they enter something, they will win it, guaranteed.
Something will win it.
Yeah, that's all I can say, man.
I was going to bring up another question about. I'll leave it to next week, maybe, or another time to discuss this. But we kind of already touched on the topic of other teams in UK leagues, sort of other organizations within our country, Spain, France, etc. We touched on it, but I think we'll bring it back in a while because it's something we could all, whatever guest you bring on next time, whoever, whether it's us again, we could touch on it in deeper detail. It was regarding foreign teams in UK leagues, but the question I'm going to ask. The final one of today, Soda, it regards you and myself. It was asked by @voids_ for Soda and Daniel. Opinions on the Divide Black roster. Part 1.
Who is on the Divide Black roster? I'm sorry.
Omnis, Azure,
Oh yeah,
Ollie
I've got a lot to say
Burrows
about these guys
and
actually.
Omnis Azure, Ollie Burrows, and Emerge.
All right, let me touch over this roster. Okay, so it is a roster that last season nobody really knew about.
Under
Okay,
Hind, of course.
they're kind of like they're up and coming, right? Though Omnis has DM'd me several times now asking for scrims every single day. Those guys play a lot, like they are
With
grinding.
Boyd as their coach as well.
Yeah, they're working hard, right? I hope they like the hard work kind of pays off for them. I think their only downfall at the moment will be the fact that they don't have like that experience to beat like a top 4 team. They just don't. But I think the further they play with each other through the year, they'll start seeing results because they work hard. Void's obviously helping them out.
Yeah.
See the little things, they'll improve tenfold. I think it just comes down to how they play on the day, really. I've played them before, decent team. I've seen them play against
Yeah.
OBN. I think Johnny and the boys can even vouch that they have good gun skill. Like they can compete in that sense. I think they just like lack some game knowledge that other teams have over them. And I think
Yeah.
as soon as they get that nailed down, who knows, man? They could either be complete donkeys who scrim every day and just enter leagues and not
Yeah.
make playoffs, or they could actually be like a really good team and make playoffs and then actually like do something in playoffs. So
Yeah.
it's out of my hands. I don't really know, but
Yeah.
you never know. They could do well.
Yeah, with the roster I've seen for myself, it's scrimming a lot. It's getting good details. It's got a coach to help them. The recent placement Hind, top 16 at Val, didn't compete at ESL playoffs as far as I know. So actually, as far as I know, I think they did actually. Did they compete at ESL? As far as I know, I'm not too familiar because Danny, of course, me and you weren't actually there for ESL or for ESL. We just haven't worked with ESL in the past.
Yeah.
Their last placement was top 16, so that's obviously something they can improve on. A coach is going to help them. But yeah, the roster is pretty solid. It had a couple of roster changes. Robert Control formerly of the roster departed. Those of you that remember a while ago, Infinity was on the roster. He departed. They brought in Azure. It's had a few changes, but I think in the future it can prove to be a force.
I want to say one more thing about their team. Yeah, I think Azure I think Azure is their best player, and Omnis is like close behind. I think they're. I don't want to be horrible, yeah, but I think the reason that they're not gonna maybe like reach that top 8 peak is because of Ollie Burrows. From when I've played him, he did let his team down. Maybe it was an off day, who knows? But I think if Azure and Omnis can do what I know they can do, then they'll be nice. They just need the other two to play at their level, and they'll be
Yeah.
fine. 100%.
And technically, this question's, well, it's 3 parts, so we're going to try and just go through it as quick as we can. Danny, you mentioned earlier that we're going to get this question at some point. It's landed in the lap of myself and Solar. We'll try and go through it as quickly as we can. How did we both get into esports? Now, that is a pretty broad...
Who is this question from?
Voids, it's a 3-parter.
Right, okay.
How did we
I
get into
haven't-
esports? That is a...
Do you want to start? You can go.
Like, does he mean casting or does he mean esports?
Just esports in general, like
Esports,
maybe how you
Okay.
found out about it. and
That's a
what-
pretty broad... Okay, it dates back to when I was probably being 16 now, back when I was about 10, 11, 12, that sort of age where you kind of start to see, you start to get maybe a lot more freedom, you start to see a lot more Call of Duty on TV, advertisements, you start to see, wow, I could actually sort of do some of this. And it was way back in sort of the BO2 to sort of, excuse me, the BO2 to sort of Ghost eras when I started to maybe, GB started to appear everywhere, UMG started to appear everywhere. I was seeing a lot of it on Twitter every now and again, and it thought to me, why don't I just maybe have a go at this? I was just playing pubs with mates every now and again, so I decided to, jump into the competitive environment, and it was kind of really, it was more just, I knew some people who were playing it, and they had said, you know what, this is actually quite good fun, you should try and get into it. And as the years kind of went on, sort of the Ghost to AW to BO3 to IW, I started getting more familiar, because you do, experience and familiarity, but with you being a competitive player, you've consistently been at that one part. Playing just became boring for me. I got into esports to be a player, and it was fun, to start with, being a caster, but for you, I'm interested to see, because you're still keeping that sort of player mentality. It's not that I didn't like playing, it's the fact that casting just seemed more appealing to me.
Okay.
It still is
so-
more appealing, so...
Right. So the question basically is why I keep playing. Okay. So
Well, yeah,
I
essentially
first
how you
got
got in and why you
into-
keep going.
I first got into competitive during Black Ops 2. I was playing League Play. I was probably about 9 years old at the time, 10 years old, something like that.
You're
I'm,
four.
I'm,
Wait.
I'm,
Wait.
I'm 15 now. I'm 15
Okay.
now. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So, what Black Ops 2 was like 4
2000.
years ago.
Yeah,
something like
2012. 6 years.
Jesus. Okay,
Yeah.
so I was about 11, sort of that age, and I was playing League Play, IRLs. You know, I met a guy called Tactics, Robbie
Shout
Carides,
out to
man.
Tactics.
I still talk to him now,
Oh,
and kind of just got into competitive playing like that, and you know, I was horrible. I started playing in Ghost a bit.
everybody is.
I was playing GBs and I think in like late Ghosts, I had a few teammates. My cousin being one of them, and 2 guys I still talk and play with like Fortnite with. Ronan, Curtis, and Sparksy at the time, I think. You know, I was just like getting into like Twitter and stuff back then, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, the whole Xbox One, Xbox 360 switch came in at the end of Ghost, and I decided I wasn't really fussed about it, so I didn't play AW. Skip over AW. Came into Black Ops 3 on the PS4. I didn't really get onto the team. I don't think I didn't. I didn't really play much competitive at the start.
His
Just
laptop
casual
died.
stuff.
That's no problem.
And midway through Black Ops 3, I kind of got onto like my first team. And
Yeah.
I was just like scrimming, trying to improve and stuff because I was like miles like at the bottom of the pecking order. I got onto a good team at the end of Black Ops 3, including Jay Woolley, Yuma, and Solar at the time, or Felony, something like that. We were alright. I still kind of sucked a little bit. We played in Val at the end of Black Ops 3. Got like at that time, like the system was completely different. You had all the divisions, and you had a playoffs for each division. So it didn't actually like determine who was the best. It was pretty poorly run back then, and it's obviously changed now. But we were like third in like Division 2 playoffs, and then came into IW. Had a really good start to the year. Kind of got on myself like a good team with Kaboom 7, who I think came like second in the first playoffs or something. So I was kind of at that peak level during IW at the start. And then, you know, a few personal situations went on, and I quit for a good like 3 or 4 months. Came back, wasn't really like the same player. Didn't play as much. Played like 2v2 GBs and stuff. But you know, World War II's kind of been that year where I was just
Yeah.
like, look, I'm gonna knuckle down, focus. I'm 15. I've got like 3 years. I'm 18 plus. I'm just like, I could be really good in the next like 3 years. You say so. It's like a lot of people like 16, 17. They don't have as long as me. So I'm enjoying it at the moment, man. And you know, esports is kind of like
Yeah.
where it started back in Black Ops 2 League play, and then it's kind of transitioned into all these online leagues and stuff,
Yeah.
and other people as well. So it's
So
quite fun. It's
the final part, we're going to try and just go through this quick fire.
good. Self promotion.
Hey, you got to give it to him, right? You got to give it to him for trying. Fair play to Nova. You got to give it to him for trying, but we'll try and go quick fire through this last part. Do you see yourself being involved in esports in 2020? Now, by that stage, I will be 20. I'll be 19, turning 20 years old, and you will be what, 18, turning 19?
Dude, I won't even be 18. I don't think by that point. Well, I turned 16 in October. And then, yeah, I think I'll be like 18 by then. So that'll be like my 18 year,
Yeah.
2020, or like 2019 will be my 18 year. Yeah, 2020 will be my 18 year. So yeah, I can see myself playing then, 100%.
Question is, do I see myself playing? Probably not. Casting? Probably. The age of 19, 20, I probably aim to be at a higher level than I am now, which is professional, but
Hey,
at the age of 20, will I be there?
I want to say something like really nice right now. Okay, Assassin, mate, you are 100% the best thing that's happened to the community by far. And anyone in the chat right now that disagrees with me can actually like come to my house and fight me, because it's bullshit. Like, you are the best thing that's happened to the community, and out of everyone that like kind of deserves to go far, by far it's you, man. Just keep doing what you're doing, and I guarantee you'll get to a higher level in the next year or two.
I
100%.
appreciate it, man. But to completely answer his question straight, I probably do see myself being involved in esports in some way by 2020.
Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't want to be like? That's a dream job, man.
It is. But
Um,
with that question, we're done. Quinn, of course, his laptop has died. Not the alarm.
Quinn
Yeah.
says goodbye.
Quinn says
thank you.
goodbye. Nothing he could do about that. His laptop did die. But guys, we've gone through as much as we possibly can. Nova, we don't want to keep you for too long, mate. We don't want to keep everybody for too long. What time is it? 9? Okay, that was it. With the technical issues, we got quite a bit actually done. Bit of contentious, bit of fun, but in all honest, okay, contentious issues come with that, but honest, hard line, well, people's opinions, that's what we want to see. You can name names if you want, you can be as honest as you want. This is what it's for. It's for people to be as honest as they want, give their opinions on certain topics. But guys, that'll be it for episode 1 of Let's Talk, brought to you by the Esports Journal. Much appreciated to Quinn for co-hosting with me. Of course, not much he could be here now. Soda, much appreciated for you being here, mate, and best of luck in the EEG season to come and all the leagues to come as well. Nova, mate, I appreciate you being here as well. Taking time out of your busy schedule with Radiant to present yourself here.
Thank you. Thanks for the time, mate.
Much love to both of you. And guys, much love to you guys for tuning into the stream as well. It's something that we've kicked off in the Esports Journal to try and just get going. We could do this maybe every fortnight, every other week. We're yet to decide, but...
Fortnite? Whoa. Fortnite, get it?
I get it. But yeah, we could do it maybe every week, every other 2 weeks. We're not yet decided with obviously a fit into everybody's schedules, etc. But guys, we appreciate you all tuning in. And that'll be it for what could be another week, another 2 weeks, but we appreciate all the support you guys are giving. Armin as well. Shout out to him. He put this whole thing together, essentially. He's ran the Esports Journal from the ground up. He's got everything together. He's got us all on board, and he's put together what has been a pretty good 2 hours just to sit and chat about COD. It's fun to just sit and chat. I appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, man. It's better than the ESPU one, that's all I'm saying.
It was a 2v2, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that, but yeah, it's just better. The Esports Journal's better, that's what I'm saying. It's good. It's a good, good thing we got going, so, yes.
I like it. Yeah, like I said.
Thank you very much, lads. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting me on. Right,
not a problem.
Have a good
not
one,
a problem, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the stream, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your evening and enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys. See you guys on another day.